Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. And today I decided to go a little bit further back in my gaming history and cover a game that is old, that has been reviewed by other reviewers on the Dice Tower, probably. Apparently this is not okay to do, according to at least one poster from another video. I'm just going through my collection and doing a lot of older games that I've had in my collection for a long time. This game right here, 10 Days in the USA. Let's get to it. And as you're setting up a game of 10 Days in the USA, you're going to take your card holders that come like this. They have day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you place that in front of each player. That's where they're going to be placing their cards. The whole point of the game is to get a trip from day 1 to day 7 planned and done so that all of the connectors are valid, so that you have one contiguous or continuous trip from day 1 to day 10 using these state and transportation cards. So if you take and look at some of these cards, you have states that are that have the same color as what they are on the map. Arkansas, Ohio, Maryland. You have a lot of different things here. You also have transportation cards, which are things like orange airplanes, which can be used to fly to or from an orange state. You have cars that can be used to transport between one state and another. It doesn't matter what the color is. You have blue airplanes that can be used to travel from or to a blue state. And then there are also red planes and yellow planes and green planes as well. So what you do here, first of all, is you take all of these transportation and state cards and you mix them together on the side of the board, not on the board, because the board is basically used as a reference map. So first thing that we do is we randomly mix all of these together and we pick and fill in our days to begin the game. Now, the way we do this is you simply take a card and you look at it and you stick it in one of your days. So here I have Rhode Island, which is of course way up here, it's next to a few things, but not a whole lot of things. So I'm going to place this near the end of my trip over here on day 9. Now, that's important because once Rhode Island is in day 9, it can't move unless during my turn, after the game is actually started, I switch it out with a different card. But right now I have to fill in my trip with my days here with cards so that the game can begin. All right, so that would go something like this. Now, once all of the players have chosen their starting trips by placing the cards, drawing one at random and placing them in the card holders, then you take the rest of them, make a draw pile out of them with 3 face-up cards for as discard pile. That would look something like this. Okay, as we're looking at the first turn here, player 1 didn't do too bad on setting up their original trip. They do have a good starting point and ending point. And while we're there, let's go ahead and talk about how you would complete a day journey. Well, there are some nuances that have to be applied to. First of all, you have to start with the state tile and end with the state tile. You can't end with a plane flying off into nowhere or a car driving off into the sunset. While that's maybe romantic and somewhat iconic, it doesn't fit the rules of the game. So you have to start and end with the state tile. It is not necessary to include airplanes or automobile tiles to complete a 10-day journey. You can walk from one state to the next all the way through your journey. You can do that. That's not a problem. And then finally, transportation tiles next to each other do not form a connection. So you can't have Hawaii, 2 cars, and then Maine. You can have Hawaii, car, an adjacent state to Hawaii, which would be very difficult. Now, connecting by foot, you simply have one state tile next to another state tile. That is a bordering state. You can't say that, well, for my first day, I'm going to walk from Florida to California. You can't do that. You can also connect by automobile. Players that use an automobile to travel from one state to another by driving through a third state which borders both of those states. Okay, so the Hawaii to Virginia driving doesn't work for obvious reasons, but it also doesn't work in game reasons either. So if I want to drive from Texas to another state, it has to go through a third state that borders both of those states. So I could use a car to go from Texas to Missouri, or I could use a car to go from Arkansas to Kansas, or I could use a car to go from Kansas to Oklahoma through Missouri. Then, connecting by airplane, players can use an airplane to fly from one state to another state of the same color. This right here works. Now, there is a caveat rule for connecting by airplanes because of this little guy right here. Hawaii and Alaska are very difficult to connect to an adjacent state. Well, that's because they aren't adjacent to any other states. So you can use any color airplane to go to Hawaii or Alaska, but the plane has to match the state that it's going to, or the color of Hawaii or Alaska, which is purple. So for example, this would work as a connection because the airplane matches Georgia's color and we're flying to Hawaii. All right, so this connection does work if you're flying to Hawaii or Alaska. All right, so those are the caveats with how to construct a trip. Now let's go through how you actually do that. Okay, on your turn, you basically have two things that you can do. You can draw a tile from any of the face-up discard pile, or from that, you would draw the top tile only. You can't dig through them once they have more in them, but you can draw one from the top of the discard pile or one from the top of the draw pile. And then you can place a tile. So if we look at player one's trip here, we're good here. We have some difficulties in through here, and then we're good on the end. So we can pretty much get the end solidified here by drawing California and then taking Arizona and replacing it there and placing California. Now the beginning of my trip is good. The end of my trip is good. Now I just need to work on the days in between. Another thing with discarding, I did not have to discard into this pile. If I wanted to, I could cover up one of the other ones. There is still a third discard pile here, but you don't have to return it to the discard pile. I simply chose to do so because I was a nice person. Now it's the other person's turn. Player 2 has a lot of work to do in order to get their trip organized. So he can draw one tile and place one tile. All right, so as we look, we're looking for things. First of all, we have Illinois, Arizona, and Mississippi. One of the things that you'll probably want to do is start there. If you have this smorgasbord here and with no real rhyme or reason, you want to start looking at what's available here and trying to build off of that. So Arizona is New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and California. Well, I don't have any of those. Mississippi, well, Arkansas is close to Mississippi, so we're going to go ahead and take Mississippi, and that will be our starting point. We'll start in Mississippi and walk to Arkansas. Now, if none of these would have been a fit, and really I just went for the first one without very much thought, you would have had to draw blind off the top of the deck, which is viable but not optimal, I think. Now it goes back to player one. Player one now has Wyoming. Oh, look, Wyoming, Montana, they are next to one another, so that kind of helps. And again, I'm working from day 3 here, looking at Hawaii just does not fit. So I'm going to take Hawaii and replace it with Montana. Okay, so now I start in Georgia, I fly to my Wyoming, then I walk to Montana, and then I can take a car to West Virginia. Does that actually fit? No, doesn't even come close. So now I'm looking for, this can actually stay. This one I'm going to look to change, and of course this one I'm going to need to change too because there isn't anywhere near Maine and California. So that's the end of my turn. Goes back to player 2. Okay, back to player 2's turn. Okay, let's see. Well, Illinois is bordering on Indiana, so I think what I'll do there is I'm going to draw Illinois. And do I want to put before or after Indiana? Actually, I'm going to put it before. Michigan is out of place here, but Illinois fits right in between Iowa and Indiana. So I'm going from Iowa to Illinois to Indiana walking. All right, so that works. I've got those three. I've got these two. Now this one's still kind of problematic. If I can get a Missouri or something like that, that would be really cool. So we'll see. All right, that's the end of player two's turn. Okay, now I'm in kind of a weird spot here because these guys fit, but these guys really don't. So what I'm going to try to shoot to do, possibly, this is a way that you can actually cycle cards. It's risky because maybe the other person is going to be looking for it. We're going to take Arizona over there. We're going to take Arizona, and we're going to replace this car with Arizona. Now, what I'm trying to do is I want to eventually place this here because I can fly from Georgia to Wyoming, and then I can take a car to Arizona through Utah, and that gives me a little bit more, freedom right in through here. So, but in order to do that, I've got to replace the car, put it over here, and then hopefully it'll still be on top of one of the stacks, and I'll be able to replace Montana with that car. We'll see how it goes. All right, now it comes back to my turn, and lo and behold, look at this. This card right here does not fit in between these two. But if I'm in Arkansas and I want to get to Iowa, I can travel by car through Missouri. So I don't know why this person did that, but they discarded a transportation card. I'm going to replace New Jersey with it. And now New Jersey, I'm going to go just place it right there because I don't care where it goes. But now I'm starting in Mississippi, walking to Arkansas, traveling by car to Iowa, and then I'm walking from Iowa to Illinois, and then I'm walking from Illinois to Indiana. So now I'm up to day 6. I've only got to finish out my 4-day trip here, 4 days out of my 10. So them discarding this car actually really helped me out. Okay, well, my gamble backfired on me because that transportation card is exactly what my opponent needed. So I look over here at the 3 states that are available on top, and none of them really helped me out at all. So I think what I'm going to do is just draw a card off the top of the discard pile, and we have Texas. Now, does Texas fit anywhere in any of this madness? Maybe we'll be able to get another car and travel to it from Arizona, so we'll place it right here in Maine. That doesn't help this very much at all, and if you wanted to, you could just take and discard this card that you don't want, but hey, who wants to discard Texas? So I'm going to keep it. And then you take this card and discard it, and play would continue until one player or the other, or if you're playing a full 4-player game, until one player finishes all 10 days of their trip. Then they would flip their cards down and show how they finished their trip, and then that they would be the winner if it is verified that they indeed did finish the trip correctly. Quite frankly, this is a 4-player solitaire game. The only interaction you have between players is discarding the wrong transportation tile or state tile or whatever, and then they are able to capitalize on it. There is no other interaction other than that. You can't see what the other person has, so you're not trying to talk them into discarding or going a certain route on their trip or anything like that. There is simply my trip, the reference board, and the what's available to me, or drawing from the draw pile. Now, hopefully you caught on to the how bad of an initial draw player 2 had compared to player 1's initial draw of cards. They had a significant advantage from the very beginning of the game, and that's one of the things that I hate about this game. Simply by luck of the draw, one person can be in a completely more advantageous position than another person. I've actually experienced this where one person, after the initial draw, won the game. We didn't even play the game. We only set up the game. One of the players won. Now, it's only happened once. I understand that. That's like a shot in the dark. I understand, but it can happen. That being said, I have used this game in like English as a second language classes in Korea to help them spatially organize where all the different states are and which states are next to other states. And I have included this game, and I have had it in my collection for a long time, but I think now it's done. Maybe I can teach my young one, Aiden, but it's going to take a couple years. And if that's the case, I'll borrow it from Tom and will no longer be on my shelves. So 10 Days in the USA, I'm going to give it 1 thumb up because I can see its usefulness and I can see how people will enjoy it. I just don't anymore. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.